Ooh, don't we just love that thunk? Ooh, hitting a zombie in the head makes such a nice sound with a baseball bat. And of course, we are here to look at clubs. Look at this wooden club. I guess it looks like some kind of stick that you picked up walking around, which is probably close to what it is. Then you have the iron club. Ooh, it looks a little bit better. Still looks a little bit small for my liking. I wish it was a bit nicer, looked a bit more iron-clad or whatever. And at least then you have the baseball bat. Ooh, at least that one looks like it will give you a nice solid thunk as you bash people. And my favorite, oh, the candy cane. The only weapon that you can kill zombies with and that you can eat. Num 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 num. So this is going to be a guide to the clubs, including the candy club or candy cane. So if you enjoy all of my guides, why not hit that subscribe button, because that's really the way to show your appreciation. If I get more subscribers, I'll get more airtime on YouTube, which will allow my channel to grow, and it is much appreciated. If you then also ring that notification bell, you will get notified by YouTube most of the time, some of the time, when I post a new video. There's of course always the channel membership. You can join me on Discord or follow me on Twitter. And I thank everyone for showing the great support. But let's get back looking at the club. So we have 4 types of club. The last one, which is the candy cane club, I believe it's normally only enabled normally in December period of time. So you probably no longer find it around unless you have maybe an old world or whatever, because I think that they patch it out as well, which is a pity. I kind of like it. It is actually quite good. And it looks so nice. It looks so unassuming. But of course, we need to start at the beginning, and that's really the skills and attributes that makes this club so violent and so good at bashing in zombie skulls. We are, of course, under the strength attribute. So, attribute strength, it's a measure of blah 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 and all these things, but it raises the headshot bonus, the dismemberment chance with shotguns, clubs, and sledgehammers. In this case, we're going to look at the clubs, but if you are also using shotguns or sledgehammers, which you probably are not, either use clubs or sledgehammers. Taking into both of them is kind of pointless. But let's have a look here. On the first one, you are just a little bit of a weakling, but you do 200% headshot damage and you have 5% greater chance to dismember. As you tech up, you become scrawny, softy, strong, powerlifter, or Olympic champion. Then you can crush zombies. You deal 300% headshot damage, and you have a 50% greater chance to dismember with shotguns, clubs, and sledgehammers. And it was actually interesting that this one says this, because this one says you have a 50% greater chance. It doesn't say you have a 50% chance. Is that the same as here? Let's have a look. This is a little bit of a sidetrack here. So I was looking at something like this. This one says, and this is under agility, so it's slightly different, but it says you have a 50% chance to dismember. But this one, strength says, and I believe this is the accurate one, it says you have a 50% greater chance to dismember. So it's not that you have 50% per hit, but let's say you normally have a 20% chance. This one will give you 30% total. So it's not 50, but it's going to be 50% more greater than it normally is. I think some of these ones are actually incorrect because it actually says 50% chance, which is obviously incorrect. You see the same thing here with 50% chance to dismember with stun batons and junk turrets, which is not correct. It'd be a 50% greater chance. But anyway, you need to tech into this, and obviously it requires quite a few points in order to buy all these ones. But eventually, if you are using the club, you want to make sure you get very high in this. And that's the first attribute. You also have Pummel Pete, and this is how you specialize in knocking your foes senseless with clubs and bats. One thing to note is that with the introduction of bats, baseball bats, these are effectively the same thing as clubs. So if it says clubs or bats, they usually are both of them. At the first level, you can craft quality 2 pour clubs, and of course also bats and the iron clubs and the baseball bats. If you have unlocked it, you deal 10% more damage. Regular and power attacks do 40% more damage to stunned enemies. They have a 60% chance for a power attack to knock foes down. That's really, really good. And of course, the first level also unlocks the iron club crafting. You always can do the regular normal club. As you go down, you'll see you have 50% chance to power attacks to knock down, etc. And as you get number 3, you deal 30% more damage. Your attacks do 120% more damage to stun enemies, and you have an 80% chance for power attacks to knock foes down. 5 successive hits in a short time causes the last blow to do 100% extra damage, and this is really good. As we go down to number 4, which is to stay down, you only need 4 hits in order to get this ultimate 100% extra damage. As you go down to 5, you require 3 successive hits in short time causes the last blow to do 100% extra damage. And if you look at the other pieces there, you deal 50% more damage, attacks to 200% to stun enemies, and you have a 100% chance for power attacks to knock foes back down. So this is really good when you've teched all the way. Of course, this one requires strength level 10, 7, 5, 3, and I believe this is 1. So make sure you go up and then at this one as well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy this. Oh, now I'm really good. So now that we know about the skills, what about crafting them? And clubs are a little bit of an oddity in that regard, because you can craft the 2 normal ones simply in your inventory because they're really starter weapons. So the wooden club requires only wood. Well, that's good. Even if you don't take into clubs, you probably should make a wooden club really early because it's even part of one of the quests. The quality level depends on how much you've teched into the skill though, but it's easy to craft. 5 wood. Iron Reinforced Club is, if you remember, if you've unlocked 1 into Pummel Beat, then you'll be able to make the Iron Reinforced Club. And this one is good if you can actually find the resources for it. Just some forged iron, of course wood, some leather, and duct tape. It's quite good because it deals a little bit more damage than the regular club. Of course, you do need to find everything and spec a little bit into it. Baseball bat, unfortunately, you cannot craft. Out of the blue, at least. And the way to unlock it is Batter Up Volume 6. And let's have a look at that one. Well, it's part of the book series, and we're going to get into those in a little bit. But for now, let's assume that I find number 6, and I'm going to use it. So I'll learn it. And now you'll see I can suddenly craft it. It does require baseball parts, some steel, wood, leather, and duct tape. Now, how do you get the baseball parts? There are a few ways. One, you can buy them at the traders, I believe. You can find them sometimes out in the world as you're looting or scavenging, or you can just find another baseball bat. Let's say you find a quality 1 that you don't want to use. You scrap it. You'll get a few baseball parts. The higher tier you can craft, the more parts are required. So for the lowest, like tier 1, if you want to craft it, I believe it's just about 4, and it goes up all the way to 15 because obviously it's better. And the level that you're crafting, again, to revisit that one, depends on your skill in Pummel Beat. The first one gives quality 2, the second one quality 3, 4, and 5. This one gives 6. No, it does not. You cannot craft quality 6. You have to buy it, find it as a quest item, or find it as you're out and looting. So for the baseball bat, you also do not need the workbench. Really good, right? Which is a little bit weird. You actually can make a nice baseball bat, but it's actually one of the only tier 3 weapons that you can craft in your inventory. You do not need to go and find a workbench for it. And that means if you find number 6 of the Batter Up and you can craft this one, you can do that without having to either craft and make your own workbench or finding another one. So if you find it early on, it actually will help you progress a little bit faster. Now there's also the Iron Reinforced Club schematic if you don't want to actually tech into the Pummel Beat skill. However, if you don't, then it's kind of pointless to start making a lot of Iron Reinforced Clubs because they're going to be really low level. So yeah, I would probably just read it or sell it for cash. But what's the difference between the different clubs, and how does the quality tiers figure in all of this? Well, let's go through them one by one. So the first one is the wooden club. It does 13 melee damage, it does 27 power attack damage, a little bit of block damage, you can bash things down if you really want to. Stamina cost is still fairly high. It's not super fast, it is 55 per minute, but in durability again is pretty low because it is just wood. But this is tier 1. Or quality 1 rather. If you go up to the quality 3, and of course there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will be higher. The damage goes up as you notice, both from melee, power attack, and block damage. Stamina cost is the same, attacks per minute is also the same, but the durability, max durability also goes up. As we head to quality 6, you'll see melee damage is 20, power attack is 34, etc. So this one is definitely much better than this one. It is almost 50, slightly more than 50%. Of course, it can be slight range here. It could be 18, 19, 22 or something. So there is a slight difference depending on what you loot. But it's a good solid early weapon, but it's not super good. So if you can, make sure you start teching into iron reinforced clubs. Because if you see, if you look at the normal wooden club, it is 13, but the basic iron reinforced club will do something around 17. And that will go up as we go to quality 3, it'll go up to 18. As we go up to 6, this one is 25. So again, it is a nice jump up from the basic that you have of just a normal wooden club. But as you get into the mid game and definitely late game, make sure that you have the baseball bat because it's even better. If you compare it just to iron reinforced club for the baseball bat, you'll see it does 27 damage. It is something like 50% more effective. And as we go up to the quality 3, it does 34 damage. As we go up to quality 6, this one is up at 38. Again, there is a range. It could maybe be 40 as well, I believe. But power attack damage is also going up. So if you compare this one, quality 6, to this one, it is significantly better. But if you look, the attacks per minute is roughly the same. This one is slightly more stamina use than even this one, but compared to the iron reinforced club, I mean, it should be a no-brainer of which one you want to use. So we now come to a bit of the oddity, which is the Candy King Club, which has a slightly better melee damage than the iron reinforced club. So this one is 17. This one is 19, and that goes up even more as you do Q3. As you go up to Q6, even more. You'll see this one 25 to 28. Now you can't actually craft this. You can only loot this one during the holiday season. But if you do, it's actually quite a solid item and solid club to be using. And if nothing else, I mean, walking around with a big candy cane and bashing zombies in it, I mean, it just looks so awesome. Sorry, I mean, it just does. But beyond just the quality tiers, the higher quality tier that you have on your weapon, the more mods you can put on, and that makes a big difference as well. So we'll look at quality 1, and it's the same regardless of which weapon or equipment it is. If I modify this one, I can put on one modifier. Of course, always a cosmetic one, but one modifier. As I go to Q3, I will be able to put on 2. 4 or 5 gives me 3, but 6 gives me 4. And why does this matter? Well, let's have a look at the baseball bat. So I have 4 slots that I can fill up. If I put on any of them, you'll see, look at the melee damage, it goes up. You see it goes from 38 to 41. So just adding these ones on means that it will automatically do more damage. In this case, the structural brace mod also gives more durability. So if I fill up 4 different ones here, let's do this one, it does 49 damage as opposed to 38, and that's a significant jump. That's 25% more. Definitely, if you have mods, regardless of what it is, make sure you put them onto your weapons and your equipment. So which ones would I recommend? Well, there's a few different ones. So looking at the grips and braces, well, there's the usual one, the fortifying one, which heals you. This one is always a solid one. This ergonomic one, which decreases melee stamina usage. And this one that increases the durability. I would always, if I can, take the fortifying grip because it will heal you 1 hit point every 5 seconds if your health is below 50%. Always a solid choice. You also want to look at something at the top. You can do the metal spikes. It lowers the armor rating. It can actually be pretty good if you're going up against armored targets like soldiers or demolisher. You can have the metal chain mod, which has a 10% chance to knock down opponents. Also really good. Barbed wire, you have a 20% chance to cause bleeding and 40% with power attacks, which is not too bad. And of course, the weighted head mod. It adds a chance to stun and slow victims. I am probably going to hit the weighted head mod. Another really solid one is use the burning shaft mod. It just sets them on fire, and of course it provides some light. The last one I like on a lot of my weapons is the rad remover mod. It will disable the regeneration abilities for 90 seconds, and that's always helpful because it means that, well, they're not going to be regenerating even if you've run away for a while. And look at that now, 49 damage. It also does 75 power attack damage. Ooh. And doesn't it just look awesome? Look at that fire. If I go away here, you'll see it's like carrying around your own little torch. And that can be good when you go around exploring. You do have to keep in mind, of course, that if I'm trying to keep quiet here, you'll see my sneak bar goes from 8 up to 22. If I bring this up, it didn't actually go up. That's a little bit weird. Let's try that out. That was a little bit surprising. That should have oh, not a wolf. A wolf will be a little bit too bad. Okay, she doesn't see me. Let's see if she sees me now. Oh, yeah. So she sees me because, well, I pulled up a light source. I'm a little bit surprised that I think that is bugged. The sneak bar should actually tell you how that actually happened. And let's do a torch, because I believe this one. Yeah, you see, it goes up to, if I take it down, it goes to 2 to 24. But this one goes down, so it's definitely bugged because this one provides light just like this one. Interesting. I didn't actually realize that it didn't actually affect the actual sneak meter, because it should have been. This one should have been up at 25 or 24 or something, just like the torch. So it's obviously bugged. Keep that in mind if you're using the burning shaft mod. It is going to give away your position. So we've gone through mods of how to make your weapons more effective, but let's also look at what are other skills that are complementary and will help you fighting with the baseball bat or the different clubs. And of course, it's the book series. In this case, it's the Batter Up one, and that one is one you really want to look for. If we look at the first one, and this is a series of 7, once you've read all 7, you will get the final ultimate one. So the first one, deal 10% more damage with clubs. Really, really good. Second, you can craft baseball bats and leather jackets. You take 5% less damage when wearing them. Not, why does it say leather? Leather jackets. I don't really find this one extremely useful. It can be, but you know, it's not super useful. 3, power attacks to the legs slow enemies. This is good because it means you can bash them in the legs and they will slow down. 4, power attacks increase chance of knockdown. Really good. Knock them down even faster. 5, bats and clubs degrade 20% slower. A little bit helpful, not extremely. The one you really want to find or buy if you can is the 6th one, which means you can craft a baseball bat, and that's really the one you want to have. 7, I don't actually know what this one does because they seem to have messed up the description in the latest Alpha 18.3 patch. So I don't actually remember what this one does. But make sure you read it, doesn't hurt. And the ultimate, power attacks that kill your enemy will fill your stamina meter. So let me go and read all of this one. Use. Nice. Let's put in a bunch of cheerleaders. So if I bash them in the head, oh, one note goes down, that one goes down, and that one gets set on fire. Another one, and that swing was sort of the glancing blow. So you saw the green one that basically says, hey, I'm gonna do even more damage on the next hit. So a couple of them are burning. It's all right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna expend my my stamina a little bit. I'll let it go down to 0, and then I'm gonna bash one of these ones just to see does it refill as I deal a killing blow. See, my stamina is pretty low now. Let me go up and bash one in the head. Oh yeah, you saw my stamina meter was refilled, and this is actually really useful, because you can keep on killing and attacking and running and just keep refilling your stamina meter. So in this case, if you're like me, you're being chased by tons of cheerleaders at the local ball game, just kill one and you will be refilling your stamina meter. Of course, you make sure you don't get killed first, but if you do manage to kill any, then your stamina meter goes up. You saw that went up to max. Now I can do some more running. Of course, you want to make sure you don't die before you run away, but it means you can keep running, and as you run out of stamina, just swing again, hope you kill something, and if you do, well, the stamina goes back to max, and you'll see it's really effective way of just kiting them around. Now, in this case, there's like something like 40 cheerleaders, so yeah, it works a little bit better when there's not that many, but you see it still works fairly well here, despite all these feral cheerleaders that are coming after. I am doing a lot of ragdolling. I am hitting with my right button, which is the heavy attack. So I do have a lot of extra damage being dealt as well. And of course, that's assuming I hit. But if I do hit, well, usually it does kill them. And there goes the last one. And we got some loot. Nice. Ooh, some cash. Oh, steel spear parts. Oh, that doesn't help. It should have been baseball parts. I think that clubs is generally a really solid way to take into as far as weapons go. If you get your baseball bat, you mod it up a little bit, it can do some really good damage. If you then skill up into the appropriate perks, it actually is really good at fighting off the zombies. And the best part, oh, it sounds so good as you hit them. So if you like to use clubs and baseball bats, let me know in the comment section below why. And if you don't like them, well, let me know as well. Maybe I've missed something. But if you use it, come back and let me know how it works out for you. I will catch you next time.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.